Is there anything better than beating the Jets? Yeah. Oh. But this one felt pretty good. Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ridiculous. Good boy. Play all the hits. Left the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me finish. How am I supposed to go to bed after watching that? I'm quite hyped. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Victory puppies! Iggy! Is there anything better than beating the Jets? Yeah, you would think that. You would think that. Right now he's just like chasing rabbits, liver treats, getting away from you. Okay, fine, I'll let you out. Woo! Leafs win! 7-3 over the Winnipeg Jets. You know what? I think a lot of you didn't get it, and now you got it. I said something on my podcast a long time ago. In early December, after the Leafs lost to the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg and Jason Spezza was suspended, yada, yada, yada. I marked this down on the calendar. Not just because it was the rematch and I wanted the Leafs to win, but because I knew this would be the post-deadline ramp up to the playoffs. And the games would be getting tighter and nastier and more indicative of playoff play. And I said, keeping in mind this was early December, if the Leafs lose this game on March 31st to the Winnipeg Jets, they will get knocked out in the first round again. And a lot of people got in my mentions, whoa, overreaction much? And of course the Jets go up 2-0. But after the game, after they won, that feeling, that's you understanding what I meant. Leafs fans, Jets fans, objectively, which team's better? Thank you very much. But in Winnipeg, not only did the Winnipeg Jets beat the Leafs, but they got them to temporarily lose their minds, get suspended, and they clowned them heading off the ice and in the dressing room on camera, and then posted it on Twitter. I don't think we put enough emphasis on that. Like, people talk about the, hey, fellas, is there anything better than beating the Leafs? We remember the quote. The process of it all is so much more insulting. Because what's the old school hockey thing? Whoa, don't give them bulletin board material. The Winnipeg Jets filmed and published the bulletin board material. And then you're ramping up for the playoffs and you're going to let them walk into your building and beat you? Earlier this week, the Leafs lost a disappointing game to the Montreal Canadiens. Since? Nasty game against Florida. 1. Nasty game against Boston. 1! And the Jets aren't a complete garbage heap. They're fighting for their playoff lives right now, but they ain't no Panthers and they ain't no Bruins. That was another thing I saw people say, well, Florida and Boston are better teams. Winnipeg are fighting for their playoff lives right now. You are getting the best they got tonight. And if you can't beat the best of the Jets, how can you expect to beat the best of anybody else? Is there anything better than beating the Leafs? Filming it and publishing it! Sorry, no, you can't lose that game. 82-game season, it's a really good league. You can't win them all. You have to win this one. And they did! Now, there was obviously a lot hanging over the team that was distracting them in the first period because the first 10 minutes, 12 minutes of the first period was some of the worst hockey I've seen the Leafs play in the last little while. It's not an insult to the Leafs, it's a compliment of how well they've been playing recently, but they couldn't make a pass! Willie with a few giveaways in the defensive zone, we'll get to him later. The D pair's completely changed up with the Labushkin injury, they're figuring it out. Until Jack Campbell's back, Eric Shelgren's like, I guess I'm the starter now. And the weighted vest, the backpack full of weights, if you will, sitting on Austin Matthews' shoulders, sitting on 49, on top of the emotion of the rematch against the Jets. You could tell it was weighing on the Leafs early. The first goal, Mark, I can call you Mark. Tell you what, Leafs won this game. You scored your first goal as a Leaf. We're going to pretend like that never happened. We're going to pretend, Leaf fans, I need you to join me on this. We're going to pretend, I'll talk to them. We're going to pretend like it didn't happen. We're going to pretend, did Tic Tac Tomar tweet it? What? Tell him to take it down! I'd like to speak to Tomar. Anyway, Mark, I know that goal put the Leafs down 1-0 early, but we're gonna forget that happened. Then the Jets made it 2-0 because the puck went behind the Leafs net, and Shelgren's looking for it like he lost his wallet! And as the Jets make it 2-0, I lost my mind because you cannot lose this game! You are going to lose some games, you cannot lose this one! And for those of you who think that's a ridiculous thing to say, Game 7! That's what that is. You know what? No. I've been waiting a while to say this. What's wrong with overreacting? Do you know what fan is short for? Stop dragging fans for caring, man. It's sports. There are going to be many all or nothing scenarios. Call back to the Amazon series. There are going to be many all or nothing scenarios, and the Leafs have been defined by their actions and results in all or nothing scenarios. Game 7, 2018. 19. In 2020, it was a Game 5, festive, and in 2021 is a March 31st regular season game against a team that is not even currently in a playoff spot an all or nothing scenario? No! But you make them up in your head. You've been paying attention to Daryl Sutter recently? He's laying a trail. Everything is about preparation for the playoffs, and sneakily, actually not sneakily at all, he's making it so that Colorado is the favorite. Compliments them at every turn. Because A, it puts the pressure on them, but it puts the Flames into a playoff us against the world underdog mindset. So they're down 2-0, the Leafs do not have it, and then a fortunate bounce gets them into the game. Mark Giordano comes in. He just fires the puck. It looks like it's going wide. He was aiming for a bounce off of John Tavares. It ends up hitting Logan Stanley, then Brendan Dillon, and going in past Eric Comrie. JT goes to grab the puck, not the first puck that would be grabbed for a Leaf this evening, and they head to intermission after a bad period. Only down 1. I know the numbers are going to be kinder to the Leafs in that first period. I watched it and I just thought they weren't crisp at all. You know what? Despite the fact that they weren't crisp at all, the Jets barely took advantage. Yeah, they went up 2-0, but some of the better teams, like in the Atlantic, would have been eating the Leafs alive, entrails first, for the way that they played. Too graphic, it's too much, whatever, I'm gearing up for the playoffs! Now, after killing a penalty at the end of the first period, the Leafs get a power play right after. Willie, who I thought had a tough first period, at least in his own end, bangs one in, power play cookies! And the Leafs tie it up. They erase the 2-goal deficit already. Jets get a power play of their own. Ehlers scores. Then John Tavares, who's heating up, gets one, and Dahlstrom gets his first point as a Leaf. And already you know, less than 5 minutes into the second period, it's a dogfight. Less than 5 minutes into a second period, it is 3-3. Still less than halfway through the period, Mitch Marner puts it on. William Nylander, 50! I can't believe he finally hit 50. That's what everyone came to see. That's not what they came to see. You mean to tell me they didn't come to see Marner get his 50th assist of the season? Most people didn't even know he got his 50th assist of the season? Why do assists get no respect? His 50th assist of the season on William Nylander's second goal of the game puts the Leafs up for the first time, 4-3. Then 5 minutes later, this is when I knew. When I say you cannot lose this game. You must win this game. Pierre Engvall knew that. Because short-handed, he's attacking the offensive blue line, and he knows he's about to get flattened like a bug on a windshield. If bugs were 6'5" in Swedish. Taps it to Ilya Mikheyev, in alone on Eric Comrie, snipes it, scores! Cobra! 2-goal lead for the Leafs this time! And that is the way they would head in to the third period. Now in the third period, the Leafs scored 2 goals. They were late. We'll talk about those in a minute. I do want to talk about a theme of this game. Leaf fans were screaming about calls all night. We've been screaming about calls more than usual recently. And some non-Leaf fans are going to watch this and go, well, yeah, you always cry about non-calls because you're a bunch of whiny babies. It's not that we're whiny babies. It's that this team, generally, over the years, has been built a certain way. Pause on that thought for a moment. Because you could look at the numbers for this game, and you could say, what are Leaf fans complaining about? The power plays were 6-3 in favor of the Leafs. The Leafs outshot the Jets 38-23. What more do you want? What more do we want? More! And let me explain why. Michael Bunting, cross-checked in the head. It's not my opinion. Here's him getting cross-checked in the head. No call. Justin Hall getting hit in the head while he's down. He does have the puck. He is eligible to be hit. He is not eligible to be hit in the head. No call. In the third period, here's Pierre Engvall getting tripped. It's not my opinion. Look at the stick. Look at the skate. He's getting tripped. No call! Pierre-Luc Dubois on Alexander Kerfoot. I mean, take your pick. I'd probably go with the elbow in the face, but you could easily go with the knee. No call! Not included in that little highlight pack was Dubois and Engvall getting penalties at the same time when Engvall was literally just trying to line change. This is me not accosting the refs. The Leafs had 6 power plays, the Jets had 3. This is the way it has always been. It's been like this my entire life. If one team is getting more power plays than the other, they are not going to then pile on. Because it could be construed as an unfair advantage for the Leafs. Or forget the Leafs. It could be construed as an unfair advantage for the team who's getting the power plays. No, it's an unfair advantage for the Jets. It's an unfair advantage for the team who's committing infractions and not getting called for it. Here's what I learned tonight. The Leafs had 6 power plays to the Jets 3. The Leafs outshot the Jets 38-23. I just showed you 4 penalties the Jets could have had that weren't called. Those are 4 power play opportunities the Leafs should have had and didn't. Arguably 5 for the Dubois Engvall little kerfuffle, but I'll leave that alone. If it's 10 power plays to 3, it's just a demonstration of the truth that this game showed. The Jets can't hang. What are you talking about? They beat the Leafs last time. I'm not talking about last time. I'm talking about this one. What do you want? 10 power plays? Yes! Because the Jets can't hang! You know, if the Jets could hang, they wouldn't be doing this or this or this or this. The refs, I get on the refs, but they're just calling the game the way it's always been called. Penalize the team that is committing infractions because they're not as good as the team that's on the other end of them. I know a lot of you are going to complain about the Justin Holl one. Take the Justin Holl one away. 3! Cross-check into the head. Tripping, and what was the other one? Oh, the elbow to the face. And you know what? I bet there were some Leaf ones in this game that I've missed and they missed and weren't called. Kids, let me tell you about the 05-06 season. Let me go way back. They came out of the lockout and they called so many penalties. And the way it is looked back on is, in the 2005-2006 season, they called way too many penalties. No! They committed too many infractions! You changed the rules! And there was an adjustment period. And what ended up happening is they didn't need to adjust because they eased off of the rules! Because the NHL's favorite thing in the whole world is to buy a house and plaster it in white carpet. The floor, even the walls, the ceiling, it's all white carpet. And then they just start plastering the thing with red wine. It's a modern art masterpiece. It gives an advantage to the Leafs. The Leafs' advantage is they're better. Call the game in a way that reflects it. And I'm doing this, I'm screaming till I'm red in the face and raspy in the throat after a game that the Leafs won by 4 goals. So next time I complain about something and it's after a game that the Leafs lost, I want you to remember this, because everyone gets on you. That's why I complain about the shootouts only after games where the Leafs won. The Leafs' advantage in this one wasn't that they had a superior power play. Their advantage in this one was that they were the superior team. The call should reflect that. But they did. Anyway, empty net, Matthews scores it, people are throwing hats. For some reason, is that a shirt? Sir? Madam? Why? I want to go through the mindset of that person. The hat I almost kind of understand. We haven't had a 50-goal scorer on the Toronto Maple Leafs since Dave Anderchuk, who was old when he retired like 15 years ago. So I can forgive Leaf fans for being like, a hat. But a shirt? Like, it was a warm day, but like, it's gonna be cold at night. I guess you weren't wearing a hat? Unless you did? Did you throw both? What did you wear home? Oh, there was a free shirt giveaway. Why didn't you bring the shirt home and give it to me? Whatever. Anyway, dying moments of the game, Kyle Clifford, who was in the lineup and good, fights Brendan Dillon. It was a good tilt. Leafs get a power play and they literally, okay, am I wrong or did the ref throw Adam Lowry out of that faceoff just to line him up against Wayne Simmons so he could kick them both out? Because that's what he did. Also, probably for the best. And then, listen, the Leafs are up big and it's late and they're on the power play. Sheldon Keefe cannot take his foot off the gas more than putting out the shutdown line and the Leafs' second pair of rookie Timothy Liljegren and ancient man Mark Giordano. Like, that's having mercy. Willie and Lily say LOL, and Nylander to Liljegren blast 7-3. Mwah. Oh, they're clicking. By the way, I just called Giordano an old man. He's not much older than me. He's alarmingly close in age to me. But my favorite stat is he became the oldest Leafs defenseman to score a goal since Tim Horton. As in yes. Yeah. I'm always amazed how many people don't know that the coffee franchise is named after the guy. They're the same guy. They don't share the same name. It's not like there was a guy named Tim Horton who was passionate about coffee and donuts, and then there was also a giant hockey player by the name of Tim Horton. They were one and the same. To give you an idea of how long ago that was, most of the photos of Tim Horton are black and white. And the photos that are in color look like they're from the early 70s because they are. Questions. Why? Why would you do this to me? Pretend I'm an NHL ref, AMA, which means ask me anything. Yeah, so the NHL scheduled an AMA on Reddit and Ask Me Anything with Wes McCauley, and then they postponed it because why did they postpone it? I hope it's not because they didn't suspend Taylor Hall and they're like, oh, Leaf fans, they're out of their minds. Like, people are going to be kind to NHL officials, like, when that doesn't happen. What do you think is the perfectly officiated game? How would you call a game if you had no bosses? Speaking of which, what do your bosses tell you? Do you speak to the teams beforehand and tell them what kind of a game you're going to call? Because I have heard of that happening. Like, for example, this game, most of the penalties, the vast majority of them, were stick infractions. Stick, delay of game, stick, holding before the game sort of gets out of hand and there's a bunch of roughings and fighting. If you were being honest with yourself, how many NHL players would you say you are too good a friend with to do your job properly? Like, objectively, you know? Or have you ever accepted a piece of memorabilia from an NHL player? I'm thinking most of the refs are pleading the fifth on that one. This is a very good question. Is Mikheyev just on a heater, or is this really who he is now that all the unfortunate injuries are behind him? I think both things can be true here. It feels like every time the puck is on Mikheyev's stick in the offensive zone, every time he gets a breakaway shorthanded, they're going in. And this is after, like, what is it, 2 or 3 years of none of them going in. I think this is probably equal parts Ilya Mikheyev on a ridiculous PDO bender and Ilya Mikheyev playing the best hockey of his career. Are the Jets just the discounted Bruins? No. No, not at all. Listen, the Jets are not awful. They have wild offensive weapons. Kyle Connor's one of the most, if not the most underrated goal scorers in the league. Go and look up how many he has. It starts with a 4. Scheifele can score. Blake Wheeler, Nikolai Ehlers, I wish the Jets would use more. Paul Stastny had a really good game. I mean, they're nasty. Pierre-Luc Dubois, another underrated goal scorer. He's really picked it up. Connor Hellebuck, really good goalie. And Eric Comrie was having a really good season sort of before this game. They got parts. The Jets' attention to detail, the Jets' back check Mark Scheifele on one of those goals. I don't even remember which one it was. I think it was the Mikheyev one. Dude, you would never catch a Bruin dead with a back check like Scheifele's on any given night. If Mark Scheifele were not Canadian and were from a European nation, he would be carved like a Thanksgiving turkey for playing like that. Like, that is a talented player who can do some really special things, but Mark Scheifele is all the stereotypes and narratives of William Nylander at his worst, except they're true. The Bruins are absolutely not a perfect team, but they don't play like that. They don't play like that at all. Discount Bruins. Not every team that, plays kind of nasty has anything to do with the Bruins. There's kind of a team that gets grumpy when they're losing, but the way their forwards play in their own zone is shocking. And to me, it's not a systems thing. It's an effort thing, and it's rarely there. Don't believe me? Watch them. Woo, that felt good. Well, hope they got some left in the tank for Saturday when the Leafs take on the Philadelphia Flyers. For now, that is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell your friends. We got a brand new Steve Dangle podcast tomorrow. I brag about the fact that I never lose my voice, but I'm losing it right before the playoffs. I'm into it. Let's go. I love this. Oh my God, that win felt so good.